Hello everyone and welcome back to our HTML tutorial series. Today we are going to dive deep into one of the most important aspects of web design, and that is HTML images. By the end of this video, you will understand everything you need to know about adding and working with images in your web pages. So first of all, let me introduce you to the HTML images. So images are fundamental to modern web design. They improve the visual appeal of your website and help you to convey information more effectively and make your content more engaging for visitors. Without images, the web would be a very boring place filled with just text. So as you can see in the preview tab, so first of all, in HTML, we use the img tag to add images to our web page. Okay, this is what we call a self-closing tag or an empty tag, which means it doesn't have a closing tag like most other HTML elements. Okay, so let me show you the basic syntax of the image tag. So that goes, for example, you need img tag, then you add source as an attribute, and I'm gonna write here flower.png file, and if I write here the alternate text, and I'm gonna write here flower image. I'm gonna close this tag because it's a self-closing tag, then you can see the image. Okay, so this is the simplest form of an image tag. Now let's break down what each part means. Okay, so first of all, the source attribute, as you can see, src attribute stands for source, and it's the most important attribute of the image tag. Okay, img tag. So this attribute tells the browser where to find the image file you want to display. The src attribute, I mean the source attribute, is mandatory. Without it, okay, the browser won't know which image to show. So you can specify the image source in several ways. First, you can use a file name. If the image is in the same folder as your HTML file, as you can see, this image was in the same folder in which my HTML file existed. Okay, so the second way, you can use a relative path if the image is in the subfolder. For example, I'm gonna use here the let me remove this, and there was an image that existed in my another folder, and I'm gonna put here. Okay, so here our file existed, uh, and I'm gonna write here alternate text, and I'm going to close this tag. Then you can see the image exists in another folder. So we set a path, and you can see the image in the preview tab. And there is a third way. So the third way, you can use an absolute path from the root of your website. For example, you use img tag, then you use the source tag, and I'm gonna put here https, for example www.example.com, and there is an images folder. Also, I'm gonna set here picture.png or jpg. You can use, for example, picture.jpg, and I'm gonna set the alternate text, for example, external picture. Okay, and I'm gonna close this tag because this image does not exist, so you can see the alternate. The alt attribute, the alt attribute stands for alternative text. So this is incredibly important for two main reasons. The first is, if the image fails to load, as you can see in the second, for any reason, maybe the file path is wrong, the image was deleted, or the user has a slow internet connection, the alternate text will be displayed instead, as you can see. So this way, users still understand what the image was supposed to show. Second, ALT text, I mean the alternate text, is crucial for accessibility. Screen readers used by visually impaired users will read this ALT text aloud, okay, allowing them to understand what the image represents. So this makes your website more inclusive and accessible to everyone. So here's an example of the good alternate text. For example, we are going to use here img, and then for example, we are gonna set here the source. I have a picture.jpg file, and I'm gonna set the alternate text. This is just an example. I'm gonna set here my picture. Okay, and I'm gonna set the width of the picture, that would be 500, and I'm gonna set the height, that would be 300. Okay, and now I'm gonna close this tag because this image does not exist, but we have set the width and height. This will display the image at exactly 500 pixels wide and 300 pixels tall. So you can also use just one dimension and the browser will automatically scale the other dimension proportionally. If you just set like for example, if you want to set the width only, then the browser will automatically set the other dimension. So it's generally recommended to specify both width and height because it helps the browser reserve the right amount of space for the image while the page is loading. Okay, so this prevents the page content from jumping around as image loaded. So you can also control image size using CSS, which is often more flexible. For example, if you want to image like img, and I'm gonna set the source, and for example, I'm gonna write here the picture dot jpg that does not exist actually, and it is used for an example. And I'm gonna set here my picture. Then what I'm going to use the style attribute, and I'm going to write here the width would be, for example, 500 px, and there would be height, and that would be 300 px. So in this way you can set the style by using CSS. So let's talk about the different image file formats you can use in HTML. So there are several common formats, and each has its own strengths. So what you can use, JPEG file or JPG files are best for photographs. Okay, so if you use JPEG and JPG, okay, these are best for the photographs. Here, photographs best. Okay, so and images with the many colors. So they support millions of colors and use compression to keep file sizes small. However, this compression is loosey and meaning some quality is lost. So JPEGs, I mean JPEGs, don't support transparency. So PNG files are great for images that need transparency, like logos or icons. They support lossless compression, meaning no quality is lost, and they can have transparent backgrounds. Okay, so PNG files are generally larger than JPEGs file. So there is another GIF files. Okay, GIF files support animation and transparency. They are limited to 256 colors, so they are not ideal for photographs but work well for simple graphics, icons, and animations. And there is SVG files are vector images, okay, which means they can scale to any size without losing quality. They are perfect for logos, icons, and simple illustrations. SVG files are actually XML based text files, okay. So WEBP is a modern format developed by Google that provides superior compression, supporting both loosey and looseless compression as well as transparency and animation. So it typically produces smaller file sizes than JPEG and PNG. So understanding image paths is crucial. Let's explore this more thoroughly. If your HTML file is in the same folder, okay, so if your HTML file exists in the same folder uh, where your HTML file exists and your image exists in the same folder, you simply use the file name. Okay, so let me write again here. For example, I'm gonna use the image as a tag and source, and if the image exists in the same folder where my HTML file exists, like this one, and for example photo, and I'm gonna close this tag, then you can see if your image is in the subfolder, then you use the image, then you are gonna set the. So you can also make the images, the links, like you can make images clickable by wrapping them in an anchor tag. So this is very useful for creating image galleries, navigation menus, or clickable logos. We have this complete tutorial in the previous videos. So you can control how images align with the text using CSS. So for example, let me show you. Okay, so let me show you some examples. To float an image to the left with the text wrapping around it, let me write here. For example, there is a text alt, and I'm going to change this. So I'm going to use this style attribute, and I'm going to write here float. So float would be left. Okay, and then I'm gonna set the margin, for example, and margin I'm gonna use the margin right. So the margin right would be, for example, uh, I'm gonna set it to 10 px. Okay, so in this way, to float an image, to float an image to the left with the text wrapping around it, you can use this. So HTML images, HTML also supports the image maps. So we will study in the next video. And thank you for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like and subscribe for more web development content. If you have any questions about HTML images, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. See you in the next tutorial.